Personal brands are changing the course of the world, and today I want to share what my top 5 predictions are for personal branding in 2025. So grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. My prediction number 1 for personal branding in 2025 is that you are the media now. Now, if you are on X, this is something that you would have seen is gaining more momentum in that space. More people are understanding this idea of the media landscape going through a dramatic shift. And this is something that I have been discussing for a while now. I've been talking about the rapid decline in celebrity influence. I've been talking about the media's irrelevance compared to personal brands, because the audiences that the media and celebrities used to be able to garner still exist. They're just going to other places because they don't have that same relationship that they used to have with traditional media outlets or with mega celebrities. And this has been also reflected in research. I've shared previously as well a Gallup poll in the US that showed that there is a decline in the average person's trust in the media. Just 31% of people who participated in the survey said that they had a fair amount or a great deal of trust in the media. And this has been a statistic that has continued to decline for consecutive years now. It's actually been on the decline for decades. It has been significantly falling since the 1970s, and that was well before the onset of social media and all of the opportunities that provided to personal brands and everyday people to be able to connect with audiences all over the world. So when it comes to personal brands, the names that are often dominating these spaces of YouTube and X and LinkedIn and other platforms aren't necessarily household names, or they're not household names in the traditional sense of how these names would normally be understood in legacy media, but they certainly are penetrating conversations and influencing households. And this is something that Sarah McCorkadale talks about in her book Influence. She talks about the power of influencers and how they are changing the world. In the book, she says, broadly, they believe their value lies in their ability to build communities through consistent, relatable, authoritative, and regular content. So individual personal brands are able to establish this connection with their audience that, when nurtured properly, is able to then turn into a community. So they don't just get attention like a lot of celebrities can garner a lot of the time. They actually have attention that turns into relationships. They actually have the kind of attention that turns into what feels like a direct relationship and then turns into a community, where you start to connect with other people who are a part of that community as opposed to just the person who you originally connected with. In the book, McCorkadale says, the word influencer is symbolic of a new kind of media mogul, one who is independent, industrious, and has capitalized on their online popularity to launch further creative projects and successful startups. There is a rise in citizen journalism. There is the opportunity to become a voice in your industry, in your field of knowledge, or you could be sharing content that is related to your hobbies and your interests. But ask yourself, what could you be the media in? My prediction number 2 for personal branding in 2025 is that YouTube is the new TV. There was a significant shift in this space in 2024 when YouTube accounted for 10.4% of all TV viewing. And this was significant because it was the first time that a streaming platform has ever broken the 10% barrier. That is why I believe that YouTube is the new TV. The research also shows that for 50% of people, when they first turn on their TV, YouTube is the first application that they open. And I know that I am 100% one of those people. I will always watch YouTube before I watch anything else, and I will always see what is new on the platform before I proceed to even considering any other option. What I think makes YouTube being the new TV so significant significant is that it is a free platform. You can, with just a free account, engage in the millions of creators that are providing free content on the platform. And it's a chance for you to yourself also be a creator in a really accessible way on the platform. So you don't need a big Netflix or TV agreement to be able to connect your personal brand with thousands of people all across the globe. So it is your chance to be a star on a platform that is available to the everyday person. Even if you don't want to necessarily create on the platform, I do think that more people are going to be turning to YouTube for their news, their entertainment, and their education as well. And they'll do that via personal brands more so than the big brands that they have been accustomed to on traditional platforms. And this reminds me of Gary Vee's concept of document, don't create. And I think that relatable content is just going to be more and more appealing to people. And I think that there'll be a rise in vlogs again, and particularly vlogs that look more like everyday life. For decades now, we have been constantly been fed content like the Kardashians, and when we watch content like that, there is nothing in that that is going to be relatable to the everyday person, although it can try to be positioned in that way. But when you watch a vlog by your favorite creator, it can look so much like your everyday life, yet it's still aspirational and it's still inspiring. And that's why I think that vlog content in particular is going to make a big comeback as more people shift away from engaging with top celebrities or these mega influencers and shift more to voices and lifestyles that they see as relatable and also attainable. My prediction number 3 for personal branding in 2025 is the rise of the expert influencer. There are plenty of personal brands out there that have made a name for themselves based on their personality. And there's also other personal brands and mega personal brands that have created a name for themselves because of their personality and because of the community that they have created around their personal brand. So if you think of someone like Joe Rogan, for example, he doesn't necessarily try to position himself as an expert in any sort of field in a really clear way, but he does this by association. He engages with experts on his platform that creates expertise by association, and then it creates trust by association. But I do feel like more and more going forward, more people are going to focus on not just engaging on social media, but actually providing their expertise, because they don't want to necessarily just be constantly engaging on a platform without actually providing value. And this is where the discussion around self-promotion versus providing value to an audience can be really important. And the space that I see this having the most potential in 2025 is LinkedIn. I post on LinkedIn actively, and it's what I encourage my personal brand coaching clients to do as well. However, I do have a lot of reservations about the platform, and that is often related to the kinds of content that people share on there. And not that this isn't something that people can do. I think people can post whatever they like, but I feel like LinkedIn is a place for most people to just engage in, well, what I've seen anyway, is what I would call a humble brag. It is always about the networking event that you got invited to, the presentation that you were asked to give. It's always a chance to really highlight your achievement as opposed to any other platform. I think on all other platforms there is a healthier mix of your day-to-day life as opposed to just posting your highlight reel. So for me, LinkedIn is a highlight reel on steroids. But where I think LinkedIn has the most potential is to treat it like a platform where you can showcase your expertise and share your expertise with your industry or with people that might find this valuable. This is why I post articles on LinkedIn every week. This is why I share tips on LinkedIn every week about personal branding, because I would rather be posting every week something that is valuable to an audience, even if it is just one person who can take a tip out of that information that is going to add value to their lives, than just the latest event that I went to and that it might look good for me to be at this particular thing. That is how I used to treat LinkedIn when I was very young and barely using the platform. And now I find that by sharing my expertise, I can use the platform consistently almost every day and actually feel like I am giving something back to the community and sharing something of value. In the process, I'm also building a portfolio on LinkedIn of articles and content that is going to add to my professional personal brand as well. So I predict that more people are going to start to question how they can use LinkedIn in a different way to how it has been used for such a long time. LinkedIn is one of the oldest social media platforms. It has been around for decades, and it's time for it to see, I think anyway, some sort of evolution. And I think Gen Z's presence in the workforce is really going to be a shake-up for how people are using LinkedIn. I think they are going to want to be consistent creators on there, and they're going to be more interested in providing the kind of value that they do on their other platforms on LinkedIn, as opposed to just the latest shiny event that they have gone to. My prediction number 4 for personal branding in 2025 is the growth of the creator economy. The creator economy is estimated to be worth $250 billion, and Goldman Sachs has predicted that this will double to $480 billion by 2027. Now, I predict that any savvy investor is going to start to pay more attention to this space if they aren't already, because you are going to want to put your time and your money into where the attention is going. It's like a stock market. If you see it taking off, or you see a different kind of investment taking off, even if it wasn't something that you initially ever thought that you would be interested in or that you would engage in, when it starts to grow to a significant point, then past those innovators, past those early adopters, you start to get the early majority and the late majority come into the market. So I predict that more people who maybe never thought about creating are going to start to pay attention to invest in this market, invest their time, invest their resources, so that they can have a little bit of a piece of the pie that is available to creators. And in the corporate space as well, we've seen more and more brands allocating their marketing budgets to creators. So it is going to be a trend that more money is going to flow into this space. So if the trend is that more money is going to flow into this space, then the supply in that space is also going to increase, which means more creators as a part of the industry, which is exciting because it is an opportunity for existing creators to elevate their game. It's an opportunity for those who are new to the marketplace to understand what is involved in this space at a technical level that they may not have actually understood previously. And I personally think that it will benefit almost every professional to, in some way, think about how they can be part of the creator economy. How is there a platform that they are engaging with as a creator and not just using on an ad hoc basis? And this is reflected in the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, where he says, code and media are permissionless leverage. They're the leverage behind the newly rich. You can create software and media that works for you while you sleep. If you can't code, write books and blogs, record videos and podcasts. My prediction number 5 for personal branding in 2025 is the growth of long form content. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram really created this whirlwind of short form content that the world had not yet experienced. And it created a whole world of influencers in this space. But my prediction is that more people are going to be turning to long form content going forward, both in consumption and in the way that they create content too. And this is for a few reasons. If you look at what the platforms are doing in this space, there is clearly a trend that they want to move towards long form content. And all you have to do is look at some of these changes that they have made in this space. For example, TikTok videos can now be up to 10 minutes long. You just have to follow the money to understand why this would be a more profitable strategy for both brands and creators. One of the most important metrics when it comes to anything in the digital space is time on posts. Brands make more money the more time that you spend on their platform. So they want posts that are going to encourage users to stay on the platform longer. They make money when that happens, and creators also make more money the more that you are engaged in their content. And the way that you deepen the time that an audience member will spend with you is by naturally increasing the time of your content. And by doing that, one of the benefits as well is that you deepen your connection with your audience. So while I feel like platforms like TikTok and Instagram have given so many creators the opportunity to have this meteoric rise in their personal brand, they're already really skilled in a particular space and a particular format. Then because they are as innovative and as entrepreneurial as they are, I think that they will start to shift their attention to how they can increase that strategy to invest further into the creator economy. So for example, I think what they will do is turn to more of the OGs in the social media space. So when you think about that, platforms like YouTube and podcasts have been around for decades. So a creator on Instagram and TikTok, I foresee, will start to shift into that space as well. They'll start to diversify their social media portfolio, because by doing that, they can also diversify their income as well. And not only diversify their income, but it could also increase their profitability as well. If they have, say, a long form video content piece on YouTube, this could allow for multiple opportunities for partnerships and for ad features in there, as opposed to a simple 30-second short form video. So with these personal branding predictions in mind for 2025, what moves are you going to be making for your personal brand? If you want some ideas about how to rebrand and reinvent yourself online, then check out my previous episode on this topic. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.